Real Country 550 and 92.9 WAME and W225BD Statesville.
Welcome to Racing Roots with Hamm.
If you don't know our host, David Hamm, he's a 25-year NASCAR veteran, engine builder, and jackman.
Live every Monday evening, we have a new guest
From the racing world with their stories, their paths,
Their
racing roots.
sponsored by Jersey Cape Yachts.
Now here's our host, David Hamm.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome to Racing Roots with Hamm, right here on 550 and 92.9 WAME, as well as DHammiam on YouTube. So tonight I got Marty Houston with me. I was hoping I wasn't going to say Andy Houston, which I mean, you know.
That would be understandable.
Yes.
All the time.
I bet you have been called
name tags.
Yeah, I bet you have been
yes.
called that many times. Like my brother's Todd, and people call me Todd and him David and whatever.
Well,
but
the way I get him back is when people say, "Are you Andy?" I'll say, "No, I'm Marty. I'm Andy's younger brother."
Yeah,
so
there
I'm
you go.
actually the older brother, but they all buy into it.
I said that one time. I said that you were his younger brother because I remember you from 20 years ago, and then I remember seeing Andy sitting here, and I was like, he's older than Marty because I hadn't seen you in 20 years. You know, that's just kind of the way it worked out.
Well, good. I'm glad when I walked in the door, you didn't like, oh God.
No, I
He
was
is the
pleasantly
older brother.
surprised. You've lived well over the past 20 years.
That's what girls will
Aged
do for you.
gracefully.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
Good-
you know,
a good wife and daughters will do that. They'll keep you young.
oh, daughters now, they'll put age on you, though,
Follow
usually.
them around
Yes.
physically. Yes.
I mean, you know, as you see people you went to high school with, and it's like, Lord, what happened to them? I know I'm being like, you know what I mean, or whatever. But
Yeah, easy now. Hot next subject.
yeah, I know, right? But man, it's so good to see you. It has
Yeah,
been 20
thanks.
years.
Thanks for having me. It has been 20 years. We just talked about that. It seems like a lot longer.
Yeah.
A lot longer.
Almost 20 years to the date. Probably just so you raced some in the season there, but you didn't race the full season,
Right.
which is another story in itself. We were kind of talking a little bit about that, but
That whole season is a story.
Yeah, it
That
is,
whole year
man.
was a story in itself.
it comes up from time to time, and we kind of laugh about different things. And
It doesn't come up very much in my
I'm sure.
household. On purpose.
yeah, but man, so yeah, we got Traci over here with me, and then I got some new friends of mine, David and Eli, over here, which you can't see them, but Eli's wanting to get into like some communications and broadcasting and that type of stuff. He's just a young 16, so
You're in the right place to do it.
yeah, so hopefully you can learn a few things here tonight and see how we do it. And so, yeah, if you're just tuned in for the first time here, it's Racing Roots with Hamm, where we discuss, usually we have a new guest each Monday evening to discuss their path, their story, and their racing roots. And speaking of that, so, you know, I had your dad in here, Tommy,
Yep.
and then I had your brother, Andy, your younger brother,
My brother.
your brother, yes. And his son is Clark.
Yes.
And
I'm
he-
repping the Clark shirt. Yeah.
That's a nice shirt. And actually, let me change the camera angle because we want to get that in
Yeah,
on
make
the
sure you get that.
in on the camera
Let's say it
here.
right. Alpine Mountains Affordable Hearing Aids Incorporated sponsor.
Very good.
truck.
He's got him a good sponsor then.
He's got some good sponsors, got some good backing. Ashley Huffman and those guys up at the Knob, which is a staple kind of garage hangout for Hickory Speedway. You know, a lot of victories have come out of the Knob.
Yeah.
And Ashley and Dwight Huffman's the shop up there. So
Okay.
those guys have kind of taken Clark in, and you know, and they're using the sponsorship he has really good, and they're giving him a good truck every week, and Clark's learning. He's working at Spire on Corey LaJoy's Cup car during the week, so he's getting him a taste of real world, you know, the glamorous NASCAR life, if you will.
Yeah,
so
right.
he might come home at 6 o'clock, he might come home at 8 or 9 o'clock, but
Oh, yeah.
he's paying his dues and he's doing all the right things, and I think the rest of it, as you know,
Yeah.
is just kind of how the chips fall. You know, whether you make it or not. I
Right.
think Clark's as talented as anybody racing in the Cup Series right now. It's just a matter of the opportunities falling the right way.
Yeah,
So,
good deal. I'm get some experience. And
Yeah. So that's my plug. I told him I'd plug him. So there you go.
Yeah, so
Now he owes you.
Yes, he does owe me.
if you're looking for a driver, Clark's your man.
If you're looking for a driver,
Yeah, or you want to spend some money.
if you want an old, used up driver, it'd be me and then Andy. But if you want a really good young driver, it'd be Clark.
Yeah, there
He's
you
really
go.
good.
So
Yeah.
you said he was a lot like you in other ways, but
He's way too much like me. I think it's a good thing that he's like me. Now, Lori, Andy's wife, Clark's mother, she may think different that he's a lot like me, but it is what it is.
Yeah, that's cool.
He's survived this far.
So you mentioned the Huffmans. Is that from the Huffman family that used to race at Hickory? They raced in a bunch of places?
Well, there was a lot of different groups. Now, Dwight Huffman, used to run the racetrack back in the day, and so you got those Huffmans that were up at the Knob, and then you've got Rob and Robert and JV, Landon Huffman, that crowd. So they're kind of like Houstons. There's different veins of them all over, and none of them are related. They're just, I think at one time you could look in the phone book in Hickory, and there were 5 Tommy Houstons in the phone book.
Oh, yeah.
None of them are related. So it's just a lot of different areas, but yeah. So, but these Huffmans have Ashley's been a guy that's just fielded cars for really good drivers, and Clark's just another one on that list, and they do a good job. They're taking care of him. I think it's nice with so Andy's spotting for Cole Custer in the Cup Series. So obviously he's gone almost every Saturday and Sunday, so he can't be there to really look after look after Clark at the racetrack. So he's at the shop during the week a lot, and they work on the truck together. Clark and Andy and Ashley and those guys. Well, then he just kind of, he trusts them to take care of Clark, and they do. They do a lot. So
good. That's good to have the family too.
Yes.
So, and you're working up at RCR, is that right?
Yes, I've been at RCR since the end of 2010, like November 2010. So I've been there a long time. I started with Ty in the ARCA series.
Oh, okay.
So that's been and Richard and Judy and everybody at RCR has been really good to us. And Andy was there for, he's only been with Cole for a little over a year, almost 2 years now. So he just left RCR. So we worked there together for a number of years. We didn't see each other a lot because he was on the Cup side with Austin, and I was on the ARCA truck Xfinity side with Ty. So but I really like it now.
So when you have these younger guys coming in there, do you tell them, listen, I used to be a racer. I used to be a race car driver.
I don't tell them nothing.
Don't tell them that?
No, I just let them assume that I don't know anything about racing at all.
There you go.
And then I'll find out what they know.
Yes, well, that's true. That's what you learn with the age.
Yes.
Yeah.
You get a little wiser, which means you get a lot quieter.
Yeah, that's for sure.
What do they say?
Listening.
Yeah, you can run your mouth and let everybody wonder if you're an idiot or not, or
you can open
something like that.
Yeah. You can close your mouth and let people wonder if you're a fool, or you can open your mouth and remove all doubt.
Right. That's
it.
That's
it.
Yeah.
So Marty, for those that aren't familiar with your story, how did you get your start?
Well, I was born into it, obviously with Dad. So Dad grew up. His father, my grandfather, Clyde, he didn't race, but Dad had 3 brothers, Hal, Ken, and Slick, and so they all kind of got bit by the racing bug together. And I think, if I'm saying this right, Ken and Dad both won track championships in the 70s at Hickory Speedway, and I don't think Hal won a championship, but he won some races, and so that was kind of where the Houston legacy started. And then, so by the time we came along, Dad had been racing since, he won I was born in 1968, so he won the last race at Hickory Speedway on dirt in 1967. They paved the racetrack in the off season, and he won the first race on asphalt in 1968,
cool.
the year I was
story.
born. So so he's got 2 little trophies, and they're 12 inches tall, both of them, and one says last race on dirt, and one says first race on asphalt. So that's kind of a cool little thing he's got. But so obviously by the time I was born, Scott was born, I was born, Andy was born, and we grew up, it was just, we didn't know that every family didn't race. All we knew is we didn't go to the racetrack all the time as little kids, but we would always, even if we didn't get to go, we would always wait, and we would see the truck and trailer come back in, because for most of our young life, the shop was at the house. So wherever we lived at, there was a shop behind it, and that's where the race cars were, till the sport outgrew that. And I think everybody was like that. But we would wait for the truck and trailer to come in, and we kind of knew, we would watch the truck pull up and back in the shop, and we could look at the car on the back and see if did we need to go down there or not. So
How messed up was it?
Yeah, it was that kind of deal. So if it come back and you could hear them hooting and hollering and all, so we'd run down there barefooted, and they'd be celebrating, or they'd have the torches out and they'd be cutting it up, getting ready for next week.
Sure, yeah. So I'll show everybody the pictures. Brought this in from back in the day whenever I was the jackman for Marty. And so that's what he used to look like. And I mean, and really you don't look that much different, which is good, but I'm just saying. But that was one of our things.
At least they put me beside a really good wheelman, because Sammy Swindell was the man back then.
He was, wasn't he?
Yep.
And he was good with the with sprint cars, right? Mostly.
Yeah, like World Outlaws.
Yeah.
You've not changed much. The hairstyle's kind of sort of the same still.
I know. I'm trying.
There you go.
Well, I told you when I walked in, you should see it on the inside.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I know. I know the feeling.
You can wax an old car.
There you go. And this is your bio kind of thing to see. Let's just see how much has changed. So it says, following in his father's footsteps, Marty joins the 2000 rank of Busch Series drivers behind the wheel of the Channel Lock Chevrolet Monte Carlo, fielded by Highline Performance Group, which we talked about.
Now, did Armando write any of this? Because
probably wrote all of it.
Questioned some of it. I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself.
Well, now before that, it says he is the son of a NASCAR legend, Tommy Houston. Marty is his racing running deep in his veins, as you kind of just mentioned how you got started.
That is accurate.
Yep. And it says Marty began his racing career 10 years ago, racing in the limited sportsman division at Hickory Motor Speedway. After his first season of limited competition, Marty followed up the next season with 4 race wins and 6 pole awards. He went on to win the championship in that division in 1993, and then Marty took his racing to the next level and started racing in the late model stock division. Mm-hmm. And I'm just telling this history before him here, I guess. But
you saved me some
kinda
time. That's
jumped around
good.
a
I like
little
it. I
bit.
like it. Nope. That's all right.
That's because you can tell more stories. We'll put the history in there, and then you can tell some good stories. How's that?
Yeah, he's laying the groundwork.
That's right. So after added to that were several track championships and the most popular driver award, which is the fans awarded to Marty 4 times. Mm-hmm. That's impressive.
Yep.
So very good. In 1999, Marty got the opportunity he'd been waiting for when he signed up with Wayne Spears' NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series team. Marty followed younger brother Andy into NASCAR's ranks. In Marty's first 19 starts, he had 1 top 5 and 4 top 10s. 2000 proved to be even better for Marty, winding up 12th in the Craftsman Truck Series final point standings. Mm-hmm. So there you go. And then he went on to the Highliner.
Yeah, you can stop there.
I'll stop right there.
I'm just thinking.
So back to your birthday's January 7th, 1968.
Yep.
And your hometown Hickory, your spouse, same, right? Stephanie.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
Stephanie. Hey, let me tell you. Okay, stop right there.
Yes.
So I have an incredible wife.
Okay.
And I say that to say this is like, she's not the, you do whatever you want to do, I'll support you. You know, I'll follow you around. Nothing like that. It was when we got married, and I knew this from the start, and I fell in love with it the first time I started. But so when she makes a decision, it's what's best for first us as a couple. But then when we had Hannah and Sarah, so as a girl, she makes a decision. It's what's probably what she's hearing from God, and B, what's best for the family. And she takes into no account what I think about it, which is awesome, because there's been so many times where I've been like, man, I look back and I'm glad I didn't talk her into that. You know, I mean, we're going to do this and this. And she's like, no, I don't think that's smart. And we end up, so I listen to her.
And you're a man that listens.
Yep.
Wow, that's
I'm
a rarity.
very, very blessed with Stephanie.
Very rare.
She's awesome.
That's good that you got a smart woman. Anyway, I mean, not that I don't. I'm not saying that.
Yes.
Carry
okay.
on.
I'm used to all the digs.
It says.
I'm used to them.
It says
He
Hannah.
can dish them. I can take them.
I got control of that mic over there. It says Hannah is 3. All right.
That's inaccurate.
She's not 3 anymore.
She's 22.
All right. So there you go.
We're getting a picture of the timeline.
Yeah. Well, this is 20
Yeah.
years ago, and the siblings Scott and Andy, and your hobbies, if you still have hobbies, golf, fatherhood,
That
and
one's
bumper bowling.
What's bumper bowling? What is bumper bowling?
That's where you put the bumpers
That's when you
up.
put the bumpers up.
Oh,
That means
for like the
bowling
kids.
bowling's not your hobby.
Right. Yeah.
Bumper bowling is, right.
You have to use the bumpers.
And
That's what
I
you
don't
do
know.
when you've had too much to drink.
Now that's weird because I never at any point in time remember thinking I'm going to put bumper bowling as a hobby.
That might have been an Armando thing.
That could have been. That very well could have been. But yeah,
Yeah,
fatherhood.
so-
I don't golf that much anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, my hobbies have definitely changed.
Yeah, so would mine.
Yeah.
Mine was like race car
Yeah.
driving, 4-wheeler riding,
Oh yeah.
softball playing.
Go-karts.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, go-karts.
Go
and-
karts.
So, no, none of those.
So now I play the drums constantly. I race a lot.
We
Yep.
got drums.
And so Discovery Church up in Hickory. So I'm the drummer for Discovery Worship for that team.
nice.
So we're and we're maybe just have an awesome band up there and worship team, and Gary Church leads it. So we're at anywhere from 600 to 800 people every
Wow.
Sunday, and we're outside. We built a big, huge amphitheater outdoor facility because when COVID hit, it was either go outside. We couldn't fit. We were at the point where we were at 4 services inside. We couldn't fit everybody there. So, but anyway, you can tell I'm passionate about that because that whole thing's just took over my life. And both my girls sing at Discovery. So
Nice.
on any given Sunday, you can come. If you come this Sunday, Hannah will be singing with about a 40-piece choir behind the band on
Wow.
stage. So
That is a big
I mean,
deal.
it's a big production. So I kind of know what you go through when I see you switching laptops
Yeah.
and
Right.
changing XLRs out and stuff
Yes.
like that. So, but yeah, I'll that's me in a nutshell right now between the family and Discovery Church. That's all I do.
The church family.
I just work in between. Yeah.
So I played a banjo. Can we fit the banjo in on
Yeah,
that?
absolutely.
Yeah, man. I mean, maybe
Absolutely.
do
I'm
that.
not saying we'll plug you in, but you can play it as hard as you.
Yeah, the banjo's
You
pretty
might do
loud.
better with the
anyway.
harmonica.
Well, that's true. I got my harmonica right here.
Yeah,
I could play Happy Birthday.
absolutely.
All right, so we're going to say hello to some of our friends out there tuning in.
All right.
And if you're on the radio you can also tune in on DHammiam on YouTube, and you can ask questions and make your comments. We've got Marty Houston in here with us, a former NASCAR race car driver and Truck Series, and also he works up at Richard Childress Racing. Mm-hmm. Very good. So Dickie Dennis says, can I get a Channel Lock Hero card? I don't think I even have one of those.
I've got some at home. Now it could take me anywhere from a day to a month to find it,
Yes, I got you.
but if I do find it, I'd be glad to give it to him.
I'm with you. I was looking for my postcards, or they're the bigger cards, you know, that probably should be in that envelope, but I couldn't find them. And Brad Downer says, hello, everyone. And Brad is in Ohio, I believe, and Dickie Dennis is up in Virginia.
That's awesome.
Sandy Tingley's down in Mooresville. Dickie Dennis is okay, so do you remember in 2014 where at Richmond, where they stopped the race because this guy climbed up on the fence?
Yes.
And he was hanging out up there.
Kind of sat down up on top of the fence.
He did, yes, without his shirt on.
Yes.
But he forgot his cell phone.
Is that Dickie Dennis?
That's Dickie
Yes.
Dennis, yes.
No, that's the guy that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
He's one of my heroes.
There you go. We get to
That's live TV, man. That was like. That was what you call a defining moment. He
Yes.
defined the moment. He didn't let it define him.
That's
It
it.
may have defined him later when they got him down, but
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. How many days in
Paid dearly.
jail?
45 days in jail
oh god,
and court fees and all that good stuff.
It's worth every bit of it, I think.
it's fun to watch.
'Cause
He's
now-
a legacy.
Yep.
Yeah,
So,
so
does he call in a lot? Or is-
Actually, he does call in.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I think I might have actually mentioned. Yeah. Never mind. That was part of it. Okay. So anyway, whenever he climbed up on the fence and he wanted to get a selfie with the four-car with Harvick, and then he forgot his cell phone, so he threw his arms up in the air like, what the heck? So anyway.
So you got to watch, if you're going to have a plan like that, you got to watch how much you tailgate and how much you drink before then, because that's how you wind up on top of the fence without your phone.
Exactly.
That's it. Yes, it was that. It
And
was
no
one of those.
shirt.
Yes, and no shirt on live TV.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was one of those, hold my beer.
Yes, that was a hold my beer moment.
Sheila Fetter's here in Statesville, and she's got that great RV Life, which you can see keeps coming on the screen. It's a great GR8 RV Life, and you can check them out on Facebook and Instagram. And she's one of our sponsors, but they rent RVs. So if you're planning on going to the racetrack to Charlotte and you don't have an RV and you don't want to go buy one because they're very expensive and insurance and you can just check them out and rent one from her. And Scott McCormick as well. Sheila. All right, so Jody Brook, hello to you. And let's see, Dickie Dennis. Okay, he says, I heard David's had something up his sleeve, but you didn't hear it from me. So yeah, that's what I was. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take a quick break. We're talking to Marty Houston, and we will be right back after this short break.
We're proud to say we have been caring for our patients in our community since 1996. Our pharmacy offers a
What does that give you, the buyer, on that next pre-owned car or truck? It gives you confidence that that vehicle has been checked bumper to bumper. We have great incentivized rates to make that purchase even better. Certified pre-owned. Check them out today. Randy Marion Chevrolet in Statesville and Randy Marion Ford Lincoln. Come see us today.
All right, we're back on Racing Roots with Ham on 550 AM, 92.9 FM, and on DHammiam on YouTube. And I've got Marty Houston in the studio with me, who is very well spoken. As a matter of fact, you do really well on the radio.
Well, thank you.
Not a bit.
I was laughing because of Tracy trying to keep us
keep
us in line of what we're supposed to be talking about.
Yes,
Focus.
right, exactly.
And the difference in roots and routes.
Yeah, and did I tell you the story behind that? So whenever I first started it, I called it Racing Roots, ROOTS, and so I posted it on Twitter, which I have. I do Twitter, DHammiam, and they said this may contain sensitive content because of the word roots, ROOTS. So I said, all right, I can fix that. My ancestors are from Australia, and, roots, routes, whatever. It's all the path, that you took to get into racing.
It's a journey.
Yeah. So I just changed it to ROUTES, and also took me away from, the NASCAR had the NASCAR roots. So I thought, well, that separates me from that,
I get it.
So
I like it.
Yeah. And it's worked out pretty good, I think.
Yeah.
Got my own hashtag and whatever.
He's kind of a big deal. You see his little sign.
Oh, yeah, my
He
little sign
promotes
over
that he's a
here.
big deal.
Yeah.
So is the hashtag Racing Roots? Or
Racing
is it
Roots.
hashtag HamIam?
Well, it's DHammiam
DHammiam.
and Racing Roots and hashtag Racing Roots with Ham, which is a long one, but
I'm not on Twitter right now. Like I was on for a good little bit, and then it just got so muddy with political and I just was like, I would find myself 15 minutes looking at it and believing or agreeing with whatever I was reading, and then I said, man, I'm gonna take a break.
Too much.
And it's been about 6 months, and I love getting on Twitter during the races because everything's in real time. You can find out somebody pits and goes off the board and you don't know what happened to him. You get on there, like especially like RCR. When our Xfinity guys are running, it's like, where'd he go? And then I look on there, oh, he broke a track bar, whatever. And I like that part of it, but
yeah, I agree. I get on there and I find myself starting to scroll, and I'm like, all right, just if it doesn't add positivity to my life, I don't really need it.
Social media in general, I apply that rule to all of it.
That's it. If I feel my blood pressure going up just a little bit, forget it. I'm changing something. Get away from it. Whatever.
I can't tell you how many times I've told him, just keep scrolling.
It all
Just keep
forces you to
scrolling.
take a side. And I don't want to take a side. I want to see a picture of somebody's kids doing something great, or somebody won a race or whatever, but the rest of it.
That's where Instagram comes in. They're pretty good about all that.
Yes,
So,
yes.
Lots of pictures and positivity and such. All right, so back to where we were talking about your upbringing and your racing career, and then I actually read some of your bio there. And so if any of that you want to expand on, go for it.
Well, I was telling you guys earlier that, like our our race shop for the first, till I moved out from mom and dad's, our race shop was always at the house. Wherever we lived, that's where the race shop was. So I like to sleep in. I still do. Mm-hmm. I get up to go to work, and I'll get up I get up every Sunday morning at 5:45, and we go set up and load in the stage and everything for church. And I don't have any issues with that. But when the opportunity arises, I'll sleep as long as the Lord will let me sleep. And so that being a 15-year-old kid who just got hired by his dad to work on race cars.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I misread in the fine print that we were going to start at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And I was like, this is every day? You're kidding. You know, so more days than not. So if you can picture this, I'm laying in a bed and there's a window behind me. And on the other side of that window, 50 yards away, is the front of the race shop. Mm-hmm. So more mornings than not, I would hear my dad be like, "Boy, get out of bed," you know, and he would yell up there, and Scott would be down there, and Andy would be down there, and so working with family and for family, especially when your place of employment is also at your place of residence, has its drawbacks.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a struggle. That was a struggle for the first little bit.
Mm-hmm. And you still do that? I mean, is it because you stay up later?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I race till 3 or 4 in the morning.
Okay.
Every morning.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
if I can, but now, I know, like, I go through periods now where I'm 2 or 3 days in a row, and then I get to where, I'm struggling to function in any capacity. So then I come home, and my wife and I walk every night through Rock Barn, and it's up and down hills and all. So she's walking right now, I think, listening to the show.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll get to that place where I'm like, I'll come home from work, eat, and go to bed like at 7 o'clock and sleep all the way
Just
to, and then I
pooped.
start the whole cycle over again. But man, there's some good iRacing on after midnight.
So iRacing, I have a friend, Chad Hyder, that races in the Canadian series, but it's on PS4.
Related to David Hyder? No,
I don't think so.
probably
He's
not.
in Ohio.
Okay, no.
Yeah, but it's PS4 is his system he uses, and he sits.
So I'm
and
on
does it.
PC, but I've got I bought it from Todd Nelson, body man.
Yeah.
Used to be at Ganassi. He just got out of racing, but so I got the rig from Todd, and it's got a Richardson racing seat, so you have to kind of slide down in it, and the pedals, and it's all built in, and so then there's like a 45-inch TV monitor right there in front of you, so you just sit in there, and you race till you can't race anymore.
I might have to get into that.
We did something
It
like
is
that at
so
the Man
much
Cave
fun.
Yeah,
in Bristol.
Natalie Decker does that too.
Yeah, so we race in a group like they won't let me race with them anymore. I think they just got full. I didn't rank anybody, but Dale Jr. and
They didn't kick you out.
no, Dale Jr. and TJ Majors and a bunch of guys at RCR, Jason Meeks and a bunch of those guys. So they've got a little league night that they're all in, and Austin will get in it every now and then. I'm trying to think of the Tim Duggar, the country music guy. He's in it, and so those guys race on Monday nights, and it's street stocks, which is really fun because you just it's like it's like street stock over here. You just beat and bang, and so that's a lot of fun. But right now they're full. That's the only thing about iRacing is so popular right now that a lot of the really good leagues, especially if there's some well-known celebrities in it, they're full. They just can't take anybody else.
Right. Tracy had mentioned we did that at the Man Cave at Bristol. That's where that was when we did the iRacing thing.
It is a lot of fun, and it's very accurate. It's very, very realistic versus
I was
real
terrible
racing.
at it.
So Andy sent me a message, said, ask Marty about spinning me out at Hickory and late models.
I don't recall that.
Memory.
I don't think that's
you might have had a
accurate.
concussion.
So let me tell you. So see, here's where I throw the ace card or the trump card on Andy. So because he's not here, he could easily defend himself. So we go to the racetrack, and I don't think either one of us were on the pole. I want to say I think we started like third and fourth or something like that. So, or either I was right behind him, and it was a 100-lap race. And so they throw the green flag. We go through 1 and 2. I'm behind him. We come down in 3 and 4, and I get in the back of him and spin him and myself out. lap 1, lap 0.
Oh,
and so he spins down the entrance pit road, and I spin behind him. And so we both go to the back. So we come all the way back up through, we pit and get our stuff together and settle down, and Dad's up in turn 4 on the fence with it, pointing at his head,
Sure.
and so that was almost every week. Yeah. So we kind of settle down, we go to the back, and so we come all the way back up through. Andy wins the race, and I finish 3rd. And so top 5 go to the tech shed after the race. So, I was like, well, that worked out all right. I hate I got into him, didn't mean to, but so we pull up, and Andy goes victory lane, and then comes to the tech shed, and I'm going across the scales. Well, he comes in there, and he's still all bowed up.
Oh no!
And he's jacked up and mad at me.
Sure, yeah.
And I was like, time out. Yeah. Let me explain how this is gonna work. You won the race. I don't want to hear a word. You're holding the trophy, fussing at me for spinning you out, and I finished 3rd. So that one de-escalated as quick as it escalated.
Oh yeah.
So that's
funny.
Apparently, he might still be harboring some
I was thinking
bitterness about it.
Yeah, but you can look at it like this.
But he's still got the trophy in his attic.
Yeah, you can look at it like this too. You gave him an adrenaline rush. Yes. So he was mad the whole race.
I provided
he was
the motivation.
Racing, exactly. He was racing his tail off.
What if we stayed in
mad.
line and finished 3rd and 4th?
Right.
Yeah.
That's worse than 1st and 3rd. So
that's right.
He's going to call me later.
Yeah, that's good stuff. What was your favorite track to race at? In real life?
Hickory Speedway.
Okay.
I think far and away, and it might just be because we ran so many races there. When I did the Truck Series, we started Daytona, run a full schedule. I mean, we've been everywhere. Bristol is a lot of fun. Daytona is a lot of fun. I enjoyed speedway racing a lot because it was, much to the chagrin of my wife, still to this day, it's a lot like going down interstate.
Yeah.
And everything, when everybody's going the same speed, it doesn't matter if you're going 20 mile an hour or 200 mile an hour.
Exactly.
Everybody's going the same speed. Your body acclimates to the speed, and then everything starts slowing down until you wreck. And then it immediately snaps back to whatever speed you're running. So that was interesting the first time I did it, and I really took to speedway racing and liked it. I liked the drafting part of it, and I liked the kind of the chess match that you have to do with speedway racing, where it seems like everything else is just pure speed. But nothing compared to the couple years of limited and the several years of late models at Hickory. I've never had as much fun as I had there. Now, old Trevor Townsend over at Hickory Speedway is he's working really hard. Dexter Knipe Sr. just came back and ran. He was a former national champion, so he just came out of retirement 3 weeks ago, and ran against his son, who he had never raced against, Dexter Jr. And so Trevor's working on a deal to try to get myself and maybe Andy to come back and run a late model race at Hickory.
Oh, cool.
And the date he gave me was really quick. And so I'm not sure if I want. I'm not.
Oh, not prepared.
When I look at Stephanie and I mention it, I see her initial reaction, so I'm like, I don't know.
She's gonna have to decide, right?
Well, and then Dad, I don't know if you remember when they were trying to get that Legends late model deal going, and they had Dad and Jack Ingram and Larry Pearson, and they all went to Bristol. I think Sterling and LD and a bunch of those guys were in there. Well, they went to Bristol, and then Larry wrecked and got hurt really bad, like really bad. Probably should have killed him. Right. And I think when Dad got out that night, Mom was like, "You are done. Yeah. You're not driving a race car again." And we all agreed. As a family, we were like, "Yeah, you don't need to do that." So I'm not as old as he was when he raced, and that doesn't matter. But I'm kind of like, you look at your daughters, and anything could happen. So I don't know. Hope Trevor's not watching this because he's going to get discouraged. But.
Well, just tell him don't have any kids. Wait a while.
Yes.
Because it does change you.
That's
I'm pretty
right.
sure.
It does. It changes you a lot. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how all that pans out. But the years at Hickory were just fun, and I the reason, and it goes back to that most popular thing, and I'm probably as much more proud of that than even the track championships, because it was just all about the people. And you know, I mean, you and I haven't seen each other for 20 years, and I still consider you a good friend. And it was when we were at Hickory, the fans, the people you raced against, the crew members of people you raced against, I still talk to a lot of those people today. And I know I'm going to get a phone call because Doug Hauser tried to call me just a few minutes before the show, and I didn't answer. And so he's one of my old crew chiefs from down, and now he's an announcer and work down at Hickory. So, but it was always about the people, and I think I learned that at an early age, and that's why it seemed like every level I stepped up in NASCAR, I enjoyed it less and less. Like by the time I got to the Busch car, it was fun. It's a lot of money, but it was miserable, you know. And Steph and I have reflected back on that many times, and we've told young couples that, hey, in 1 year we went from our salary quadrupled in 1 year, and she didn't have to work, and I was making all this money, and we were racing, and we were miserable. And then, you know, coming back. So I think the one big thing I took from that, and I'm forever grateful for it, is we confirmed without a doubt money didn't fix anything. Did not fix a thing. So, you know, ever since then, it's just been different, even with Steph and I, and the way we approach money and the way we approach success or fame or whatever you want to call it. It never was about money.
That kind of reminds me of, we had a driver, David Steele, and I don't remember if it was the year before you drove the channel lock car, or if it was after you were.
I think he was after.
Okay.
I think David was after.
Because he didn't stay very long.
And they went through several drivers there back to back.
Yeah, we had Todd Bodine and Ron Hornaday, Tim Fido, I guess was one. And
well, you know, whenever your job comes into question, especially in racing, I've noticed it's still like it's today. And I remember the last 2 races I ran with Armando. Man, it's like wolves smelling blood. Like there were, you know, and not to call any of them out because it wasn't their fault, but I remember seeing Fuller and Bodine and Hornaday, and I mean they were just like, whoom, and they were all around the car,
Andy
all around
Santerre
the
was another one.
And just, you know, and they were looking for the same opportunity I was looking for when I got to ride, you know. So I never held it against them guys, but that was one memory I have of a part of the sport that I don't like, you know. And we had a really hard time with anybody we could trust, especially with money, or, you know, everybody wanted a piece of kind of what you had going on just in case you hit gold, you know. And so I remember guys being agents and, you know, we'll represent you and we'll do this and this, and, you know, and then and looking back on it, it was all just, it was terrible. So that takes me straight back to Hickory when it was just pure, simple racing. We built the cars, we worked on it with friends and family, and we went to the racetrack with our friends, and we raced against another group of people who were our friends. But it was all just so. To me, it's like the 10-year-old kid playing basketball or wanting to get into communication. It's pure. It's clean, it's innocent, and I hate that it can't stay that way all the time. But so
it wasn't as much ego. It wasn't as much ego back then.
No, it wasn't, and it forces you to not be true to who you are, to yourself, and then at some point, if you're lucky, you come back around and you find out who you are.
Exactly.
And then, you know, once I came back around and found out who I was, and Steph and the girls, and then it's like, man, I'm holding on that with both hands, you know. No matter how much money or who says what. And, you know, the whole deal, not get preachy, but the whole deal at church kind of shifted all that for me and kind of lined all the priorities up the way they were supposed to be. So everything's...
Yep. That's one thing I always say. It seems like things in my life have always kind of happened at the right time and put me in the right situations, whether I thought they were at the time or not. It just works out that way.
Well, and I tell people now, I'm like, pay attention to things that you think maybe are even bad. Pay attention to little things that happen that are just shifts. And if you're paying attention to them, you'll recognize them and you'll use them. You know, they're building for the greater good. But if you don't, I see so many people that just don't see them, you know, and it's about what my plan is. And it's like, man, I've tried my plan several times and it's been terrible. So once I kind of shifted over and I said, all right, I'm gonna go with God's plan, then everything was just like,
Yeah.
so,
Very good. That's right. That's
sorry.
great.
That's
good
my
stuff.
sermon for today.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah.
I concur.
It's very true though. I mean, it's true to life, and it's true. You know, it is religious, but it's true to life. Period.
Yes. Coincidences are not coincidental.
Yep.
I believe that.
And you can take them and you can turn them into a negative and say, I'm just doomed for this to happen the rest of my
It's
life.
just my lot in life.
Or you can
Yep.
say, well, you know what, I can learn from this, and then put myself in a position to where it doesn't happen again. Or
and that's where the year with Armando, that really was a shift looking back that we recognized and B, you know, we shifted our priorities off of that. So, and then everything changed after that.
Yeah, you can look at things as a mistake, or you can look at them as a learning experience.
Man, I was the happiest pit crew guy out there for 2 or 3 years, you know, after that, because I was back, I was making money. We were, you know, there wasn't a lot of pressure. What I was doing, I spent a couple years at KBM with Kyle Busch and absolutely loved it, because Kyle is, you know, for all the flack he catches on social media and TV, probably is one of the best guys I've ever worked for. With Kyle and Eric Phillips, because Kyle was like, when you're inside his circle. Now, if you're outside his circle, he ain't got nothing to do with you, because you're not on his team. But when you're inside his circle and you're shoulder to shoulder going to war against all these other guys, man, he is incredible. I mean, he's all about what we have to do to win, but it's not what I have to do to win. It's what we have to do for us to win. And he's all about his team, and he keeps good people because of that. And I think that's why his truck team's successful. I mean, I just think that's why he's successful.
Yeah.
He understands that value of people, because like right now, everybody gets the same motors, everybody gets the same bodies, everybody's got the same wind tunnel time. You know, you can't go test anymore. So the difference anybody has right now is people. Who's your people and how are you taking care of them? And a lot of them still can't see that, and the ones that struggle can't see that you take care of your people, they'll take care of you.
Yeah, very good.
So.
And you went back and did pit crew stuff, right, after driving.
Yep, I won. We won the 2010 truck championship with Kyle, owners championship. He couldn't run for the drivers, but I mean, we destroyed him that year. I mean, we were upset if we went to a racetrack and, you know, and we didn't win. Yeah. And we ran a couple different drivers, but Kyle ran most of the races. And I think we won 8 races that year, and you know, just wore him out. Was that
around the time he built his shop, KBM, over there?
I helped him move from. He was over at Mooresville at the drag strip, and we were in a shop over there, and we moved from there into the new facility, and it was awesome. And I was kind of there for the years of just kind of sorting it out, and getting everything up and going. But Eric Phillips was great to work with. He was crew chief over there, and man, Kyle's still got good people. He's got good people. I think, as a matter of fact, I think Eric's back over there now. But yeah, I valued those years with him. And then Mike Dillon called me and said, you know, Ty's gonna run some ARCA races, and then we've got a plan. We want to run him maybe at least 2 years in trucks and see if we can get him up to Xfinity. And the goal was to get him the Cup. And he said, I need somebody on the road with him, because at that time Austin was just starting his Cup career. So Mike and Tina were kind of, you know, they were kind of watching over Austin. And he said, I need to know he's okay on the road, not just at the racetrack, but at the hotel, you know, I need somebody to go that I trust. So he wore me out over that, and so I came over to RCR, and I've been there ever since. Just they're good people.
Yeah, very good. So if Clark needs maybe Kyle Busch is tuned in and thinking about giving Clark a ride. Possibly.
Oh yeah, if I get a half chance, I'm gonna hire Clark over to RCR, because Clark's a good kid. He's a hard worker.
There you go.
So
that's good.
I hope Sparks don't hear that, but I'm either going to hire him or I'm going to force Sparks to pay him more money. So there you go.
So Andy comment, he sent me a text that I kind of followed Marty's lead as far as when to stop driving and take care of your family.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's good. And I think, you know, you don't get that from the reason I think I got to a point where I wanted to take care of my family was because I watched Dad, I watched him race for probably 3, maybe 4 years longer than he wanted to, because everybody in the family was working for the race team. Okay. So if Dad quits racing, Scott, myself, Andy, my first cousin Philip, who helped us, Slugger Labby was helping us, So if he folds up shop, we all got to try to go get jobs all at one time. Mom was doing all the books and running the business of the team. So I don't think I realized it right at the time, but I knew right after that he was racing. The last 2 years were just a struggle. To physically get a car to the racetrack every week. And it was all of us, and he didn't have enough money. He had some sponsors and some local people helping him, but it was half of what he needed to just go try to compete. Right. And, and not unlike it is today. The single car, like I say, Spire, Corey LaJoy and them, those guys, they work twice as hard to go half as fast. So I respect what they're doing and trying to make it. But I think watching Dad make that sacrifice, Mom and Dad, and just go through that grind until he just couldn't do it anymore, financially and physically, he was just getting to where. And so watching him do that and take care of us, I think that's where all that came from. Right. That was easy.
So I can kind of relate to the part about getting out of off the road, because when my son got to be 6 years old and I started missing his ball games, I could have kept being a jack man and been making a lot of money, but I was like, that's more important to me.
Yeah, and our girls played softball. They started playing travel softball, and it was the same thing. It was about that age, and, you start missing. I didn't really miss dance recitals. I didn't mind missing those because that's an evil in the world that needs to go away. But
I went through that enough when I was a kid, and my sister did it.
The first time I missed a ball game, I think I was like, "Yeah, I'm not doing it." And I was like you. I was on a mission to get off the road. I was going to work however hard I needed to work in the shop to make myself valuable enough that we got to leave this guy in the shop. He's getting it done, and so that worked out. But once we started playing travel ball, man, that was a shift.
Yeah. So our friend Jim Dooley, he lives in Virginia now, but he's from Statesville. He says we could take our car up to Hickory back in the 70s to the drag strip, awesome days. And he said when you grew up in Statesville, you went to Hickory tracks on Saturday nights.
Yep.
I'm sure.
Dad and them raced. Dad and the group Jack Ingram had with Bobby Fleming and Roy Lee Jones and his guys, and Dad and all his guys, and Harry Gant, Butch Lindley. They would race 100 times in a year.
Wow.
Which was incredible. They would go Friday night, Saturday night. If there was a Sunday afternoon, there might be somebody racing on Wednesday night. And they just, for a couple years there, man, they were. It was like being in a band on tour. If there was a show, they were there. Yeah. But again, that's how he supported the family early on. So I remember being really small and them coming in late at night, a lot. Or we were with babysitters a lot, or we were with grandparents a lot, stuff like that. And we shifted around a lot as kids, but looking back on it, I know why. And I don't, I think it was the right thing. So.
Well, did you get to be around Jack Ingram a good bit, or
coming up through the mid '80s, from I guess the first Busch race. Dad won that race at Richmond in '82, which was Budweiser Late Model Sportsman. Then that transitioned into Busch Grand National, and so then it was, and that goes back to the same. It's the same principle. It's the people.
Yeah.
That goes back. You had Sam Ard's group. You had Jack Ingram, L.D. Ottinger, Chuck Bound. Those guys. There was like 6 or 8 teams there, and man, us, and then all of the officials, Robert Black, and all the Busch Series officials. Everybody in that thing was so tight, friendships, and we would travel, every week, and all the same people stayed at all the same hotels, and God bless them people that took care of them hotels, because when we rolled in, it was hundreds of us, and we all knew each other, and that was wild. I mean, that was but yeah, Jack and Robbie, you know, Jack lost his son. We were about an hour behind. Robbie fell asleep coming down the mountain. I want to say coming back from Indianapolis Raceway Park, and wrecked in the dually. You know, back then it was a dually, and Jack had a dually and an open trailer, running full Busch National Series schedule, and we were what you would call big time. I mean, we had a straight truck and a enclosed trailer, and had some sleeping quarters up in the truck. You know, so. But yeah, I remember all that but when Jack passed away here a while back, I didn't get to go to the funeral, but Mom and Dad went, and I think Roy Lee and some of Jack's crew members from back in the day were there, and that's cool. Yeah,
it is. It's like
that's
you said,
what
it's
all
a big
about.
Family.
Yes.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Gene Hammett said he is watching as well.
I know Gene very well. He lives about a half mile from me.
Yeah, I was talking about you on the radio the other morning, and I said. Tommy's oldest son, Marty. It's one of those things. And then he texted me right away and said he's the middle son. Scott's the oldest.
Yeah, Gene will correct you. He's got some good firewood too. So if you ever need firewood, I'll tell you where he lives.
Yeah. Well, he's also the father-in-law, or not father-in-law. Good Lord, he's the brother-in-law of Jason Drum from Bell Landscape Supply, right?
Yes.
So if you ever need any of your landscape supply, go to Bell Landscape Supply.
Gene will split your wood for you.
And my son works at Bell Landscape Supply.
Okay.
So he could load your truck or whatever. Just keeps on going. You know,
we're
talking
making
about
a lot
family.
of promises for people.
Yeah, that's it. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Racing Roots with Hamm, and we got Marty Houston in here with us. So we will be right back after a few words from our sponsors.
Of course, you know Fort Dobbs Hardware is your one-stop shop for hardware, plumbing, gardening, and Benjamin Moore paint.
Off. Health and beauty, 30 to 90% off, folks. The list goes on and on. Folks, come and visit us. Ziggy's, 1011 West Front Street, Statesville.
All right, we're back on Racing Roots with Hamm right here on 550 AM, 92.9 FM, and on DHammiam on YouTube. And you can go on there and comment, ask questions, see us here in the Randy Marion studio, live action. And speaking of live action, who we got on the line with us?
Hey, David, this is Dickie.
Hey, man.
Dickie, I got some questions.
Hey, Marty, how are you, man?
I'm doing wonderful, buddy. Good to hear from you.
I got a great big question I could ask you, man, but I don't know if you can answer it or not.
Well, I'll try. I'll either try or lie.
Okay. Ford 200. Okay.
Yep.
And I was reading in Wikipedia, there was some controversy in there about Ted Musgrave and things, and there was some deliberate actions taken in that race. Can you enlighten me? on the controversy
I
that
can
we
not only enlighten you, I can clear that whole thing. I can lay that out on a plate for you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm going to say, and the only reason I say that is I always think about it because if you watch ESPN's top 10 Craftsman Truck Series moments, I'm still number 2 from that whole mess. So the way that went down is I was working with for Jim Smith at Ultra, and we were running for the championship. Musgrave and I think Andy was in the 2 truck, but Musgrave was in position to win the championship. Yeah. So you had Musgrave, you had Dennis Setzer in the 46, you had I think Quapple was in the 16, and there was one more that was in the hunt for the championship. Brendan Gaum. So
Brendan Gaum.
Yep. So I had been talking to Jim Smith about driving a truck because I had been talking to Duke Thorson about trying to get in the 88 truck. That's when Crafton had left and was driving the Goodwrench truck. And so there was a couple of us trying to get in position to get in that 88 truck. So I talked Jim Smith into letting me drive one of his trucks. And actually, I think we fielded 5 trucks that day because P.J. Jones drove another truck that had Ultra wheels on it. So now the comment in the shop was made by the owner of that team about, I will give X amount of dollars if somebody blank wrecks the 62 truck. Okay, so the comment did happen. That was true. I didn't think anything of it, and I didn't go there for any reason other than to try to get myself back in a really good Truck Series ride. And so
you're a good man, Marty. You're a good man, Marty.
Well, no, let me finish the story. So we go to Homestead and we unloaded. We practiced good. Timmy Cahuth was my crew chief, and we just had a ragtag group of guys put a truck together, and it was a truck that they had ran earlier at Darlington, so same paint scheme and everything. We just threw a 10 on it, and so I think we qualified decent. I Racing Reference is going to make a liar out of me, but I want to say we were somewhere between 10th and 15th, maybe. Ran really good in the race, and at some point through strategy, I ended up being a lap down. PJ and I were like 10th and 11th in the last segment of the race. And so we were both kind of shuffling for that, trying to get the lucky dog spot, because we knew if caution come out, you're back on the lead lap, you get tires, and there's only 9 or 10 cars on the lead lap, or trucks on the lead lap. So so we were all kind of really racing hard for that deal, and it just the funny thing about it is they had a caution right before the big wreck with Brendan and myself, and I was right in front of PJ, so I'm in the lucky dog spot. So we're getting ready to have a restart, and somebody had went through 3 and 4 and blown up right against the wall, and it was before you ran. You don't run the Reddick line back then. The trucks were glued to the bottom, and so I had told Timmy on the radio and told the spotter. I said, "Hey," and this is so prophetic for me. This is just like something I would say. "Hey, watch out on this restart, because one of these idiots is going to get up in the speedy dry and bust her butt." Mm-hmm. And I was including myself in that group. I just didn't say that. Yeah. So sure enough, we go off in there, and Jack Sprague is a couple trucks behind me, and he's on the lead lap. And so I kind of fall in line there, and we only ran 1 or 2 laps. And Brendan had a problem and went all the way to the back, and he was pretty far back in the pack. And so we go off in 3 and 4, and Jack kind of shoves me off in there. And when he does, I go up the racetrack, and I am the idiot in the speedy dry. Not trying to be, but so I'm trying to drive out of it. And, I get against the wall a couple times. And so when I turn off the wall, I just hit that speedy dry, and it spins me straight down the track. Well, lo and behold, of all the trucks that could hit me. Again, I didn't hit them. He hit me. Brendan comes down through there, and I think Brian Refner hit me first, broke his foot. And then Brendan gets caught up in, he didn't really hit me. He just got caught up in the carnage of it. And then after that, so he got out and was the famous line that was, tire changers don't need to be race car drivers. And so I recanted and went back and said, maybe neither do casino owners' sons.
Yes.
So we kind of went back and forth, but fast forward a couple years, Brendan and I talked about that, and Brendan told me face to face, if I thought that you could spin and pick me out of a crowd of 35 trucks and hit me to knock me out of the race, I would have hired you to go in my truck and drive full time. And I said, well, good. I'm glad you said it that way.
Right.
So we all cleared that up, and I still haven't got my X amount of dollars from Tim Smith for coming good on the challenge, but it is what it is.
Blanky wrecking somebody.
Yes. So that's the story of all that. And I didn't get the 88 ride after obviously.
Oh.
So and then my wife, being from the earlier story, she calls me, or I call her after all this had went down on live TV, and it was like, you gotta be kidding. So I call her and she picks up the phone and she's like, how'd that work out? And I'm like, yeah. So I think I'm a pretty good tire changer. So, but anyway, that was about, other than a couple late model races, I think that was the last race I ran in one of the touring series. So, but I look back on it and laugh now. So Brendan and I have crossed that bridge several times since then. And actually, Brendan drove the Xfinity car at RCR back a couple years ago. And then he's made, up until just recently, made spot starts in the Cup car. So we got to work together a lot. And, I've done some work on the cars that he's driving. So I think if he thought there was ever any ill will there, he wouldn't let me be helping bolt his seats and seat belts and stuff in. So we're all good there. But that was it's still number 2 on the Craftsman Truck Series top moments.
Man, that's a great story.
Every November, and a lot of people fussed when they took Homestead off from championship weekend.
Yeah,
I was so happy
that
they put that thing at Phoenix. So now every year in November, they show highlights of something at Phoenix instead of something at Homestead.
Right. Yeah.
We just blow through Homestead sometime in early spring, and nobody gives it any attention. So.
That's great. That's good stuff. All right.
So
Dickie,
what was it you were wanting to ask Dickie?
Oh, you still there, Dickie?
I'm still here.
Okay, so you're sitting there at Richmond, and you're with your buddies, I'm assuming, and you're watching the race. So at what point did it come across your mind that you said, I'm gonna climb up that fence and I'm gonna get my picture made? And how did all that come about?
All right, here you go. I'm sitting in the bleachers and I'm enjoying this race, and there's this Dale Jr. fan sitting behind me, ragging on my Kevin Harvick T-shirt and being kind of belligerent and stuff, and he spills beer on my shirt, and I spun on him and I said, the safest place for you right now is if I was sitting on that catch fence. He told me I didn't have the, whatever, and I showed him that
accepted.
Here, hold my beer.
Here, hold my beer. That's right.
Yeah, right.
All right.
I did tell the Lord I was going to jail before I climbed the fence, and he seen me through it.
Yes, he did, and that's good. I'm glad you talked to the one person who could probably get you through that. But that was, that moment for me, for you being a race fan and talking about the deal at Homestead, like for me being a former driver, that moment of you on the fence is just as big in my memory. That's something I'm like, man, that's awesome.
Yes.
What you said earlier about the thing where you follow his lead.
Yeah, where you either define the moment or it defines you. Yeah, you made that moment yours.
Hey, Dickie, did you hear what he said? You made that moment yours.
No.
You defined the moment. Yes. For sure.
I'm just glad I finally got to talk to you and put a name and a voice with the memory. So that's awesome.
I'm supposed to be coming down that way. Maybe David could hook it up and we could all hang out or something.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll work something out. We're gonna have a big party or something.
We'll climb up on. This is a pretty tall building he's in right here. We'll climb up on top of the building, take a selfie, whether they want us to or not.
Yeah.
David will take it from below. He's too scared.
Yeah, I am. I'll make myself though.
Hey, let me bail, man. Let me bail off of this phone. All right.
Yep. All right, Dickie. Good talking to you, bud.
See you, man.
Great talking to you guys. Thanks, Marty.
Yes, sir.
All right, so talk to Andy sent me a text during that last story, and he said, I told Marty that truck was really loose, and he said, I spun out at Texas and after sitting on a pole in that same truck. So, so it really
So it was the
was.
truck's fault.
I knew it was loose. It was fast. I honestly think everything was going to be fine until I made the statement, keep your eyes open. One of these idiots is going to get up in this speedy drive. I think that's where it all went south.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yep.
He had also mentioned earlier, he said, ask Marty about us falling asleep in traffic, leaving the Oxford 250.
Okay. So that's an easy one. So me and Andy are, back, and that's where I tell the young kids these days, they're like, man, it's so hard being on race team. And I'm like, you ain't got a clue about
Raceway Express.
Yeah. So back in the 80s, so we would always go, Dad would always go to the Oxford 250 for it was a Busch north south combination race. So you were eligible if you ran the Busch North Series or the Busch Grand National Series. Mm-hmm. And so Dad would always go, and he was really, really good at Oxford Plains from the first time he ever ran there. And so we go up there, and I think this was the year we got they would give a $10,000 bonus for the highest finishing Southern driver. And so Morgan was driving, and this is I'll kind of prequel this a little bit. So back in the day, you would go to the racetrack, and it's the same 3 or 4 guys. So you drive first from Hickory to Oxford, Maine, which is about a 24-hour trip, no matter how you look at it. Our tow truck had broke down. Not sure if it's the same year or not. So we had to take a rider truck with a 60-mile-an-hour governor on it, which we eventually worked off about halfway up through there. Mm-hmm. So Slugger, myself, Andy, and Phillip, we're in this truck with 2 seats in the front and just a sliding door. So we run that thing from Hickory, North Carolina to Oxford, Maine. Then after you get there, you go in first thing in the morning, you do all the tech, all the pre-race, all the practices, and then that night you race. So I mean, you're 16 hours in when the race starts.
Yeah, right.
And you're just killed. So make a long story short, after the race, Dad actually Morgan was driving Dale Shaw's car, and I think he was running 3rd or 4th, and Dad got into him on maybe 1 or 2 to go, and so we got the Southern bonus. And so Andy and I are leaving in the rental car, and leaving Oxford Plains would be like leaving Hickory after a cup race. There's one way out, mm-hmm. and the traffic was lined up for days. So we pull up through there, and I mean, we're destroyed. We're killed. We're tired. Sure. So we're sitting in the rental car. We got the heat on and got the music playing, and we're just waiting for traffic to move. So both of us fall asleep. And I guess, I fell asleep for sure.
Right.
And so we're laid out, in the car, and one of us wakes up to horns blowing.
Oh.
And so we're sitting at a place where it's a single lane, just dirt road.
Yeah.
And as far as you can see behind us, there's cars, 2 wide, 3 wide.
Yeah.
And as far as you can see in front of us, there's darkness.
Oh.
Nothing. Everybody was gone. And I mean, There was no traffic, no cops, no nothing. And we're sitting there dead asleep in the car. And so it was one of them where you simultaneously wake up, pull it in gear, stomp the gas,
right,
and try to just drive away from everybody that's mad behind you.
Right.
But yeah, that's a pretty cool memory.
That's great. I want to say hey to Suzette. She's out in California, joining us a little bit late, she said.
But she had to work late.
You're hours behind us, so
mm-hmm.
yeah. And
she's actually 3 hours early.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
And Paul and Kit are down in Port St. Lucie, Florida. And he says, Oh, Paul was saying I wouldn't climb, but there is a if there was a scissor lift, yes. No, and I agree.
Now that defeats the whole purpose.
So yeah, we have this weather system on top of our clock tower building. We call it the Clean Tech Weather Center, high atop the clock tower building, and the battery went dead in the other one we had, and so I have not been on top of the building. I've been up the ladder that goes to it, and then that's as far as it goes.
Well, I can promise you, if Dickie makes his way to Statesville, and I'm here, we're going on top of the building.
All right, we got to do that. Yes, for sure.
And we're taking a picture.
Yes, that'll be great. We'll plan that for sure.
Yes.
All right, so now I was waiting to see if Andy had another question. I told him to just call, but he's just texting.
He's already been on the show. He's good.
Actually, he needs to come back and bring Clark.
Yes, he does need to bring Clark.
Yeah. So we're trying to work on that. So he says he was going to be busy next week. So
my youngest daughter, Sarah, and Clark are kind of they're the two versions of, like, we call our oldest children ask for permission, and our youngest ask for forgiveness.
Oh.
Right.
So and that's what Hannah and Colin are both. They're just different.
Oh, that's cool.
But we love them all.
They're close to the same age, I guess.
Yeah. So Hannah and Colin are within a year of each other, and Sarah and Clark are within a year of each other. So they kind of run in the same circles. And Colin, Andy's oldest boy, is doing pilot. He's getting his actually already got his pilot license. So he's kind of went the airplane route, and Clark's racing. And then I've got my oldest is going to start PA school in December. So she'll move to Elon in January. So we're really proud of her. And then Sarah, my youngest, is going to, more than likely, she's going to transfer to Western Carolina to finish her college, because the COVID kind of blew her whole college thing up, as it did a lot of, a lot of people. So I'm looking forward to seeing her get the college experience or whatever she wants to do. She don't know yet.
Yeah, very good. Sometimes, I mean, we got a Mitchell Community College right over here.
Yep.
It's pretty good place. And so we're talking about family and stuff. And I remember your dad coming to the racetrack whenever you were racing. I remember him coming to probably, I don't know, Rockingham maybe or something. And, but there's a couple questions. One was, I know that are you Teresa's cousin, right?
So yeah, first cousin. So Teresa's dad, Hal, is my dad's older brother. Yeah. And Hal, you'd see Hal in a lot of pictures with Earnhardt and them back in the day, in the Goodwrench days when they were winning the championships. And he looks just like my dad now with white hair and a mustache. And a lot of people back in those days thought Earnhardt was a Houston because all the Houstons had the same mustache as like what Dale did. So when they would all run around together, everybody just thought they were related, but it was just through marriage.
That reminds me of the story. Your dad was sitting right there, and he told me that about his mustache and Earnhardt seeing his mustache, and that's when Earnhardt grew his like your dad's.
So he took credit for Earnhardt's mustache.
Yes.
That's good. That's probably true.
It probably is.
It probably is true.
I think so.
Well, Dale hung around a lot when we were, like Christmas, Easter, Mother's Day. Anytime all the Houstons were together down at Mama and Papa's, it was Clyde Houston's. So they had, I'm going to say this wrong, I think they had 8 children, and Dad was one of 8. So when that whole family got together for gatherings, it was big. And so Dale and Teresa would come, and I mean, he'd plop down in the living room, with everybody just crowd around and do like we're doing now and just tell racing stories and shoot the breeze. And that was some fun memories. And even Dale Jr. and Kelly, at that time, they were in like the military academy. And so I remember a couple times them coming to Mama's as young kids, and we would all run around, play in the woods and, whatever. So that was kind of one of my earliest memories of hanging around Dale Jr.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was good times.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. We'll have to say, hey, Dale Jr. And, cause I'll send him the link. Not right now, but I'll send it to him later. Yeah. Maybe he can go back and watch it. I'll see what we were talking about.
Maybe he'll get you on a show next.
That's right. Well, he had said something a while back about getting Dad on the show, just to talk about that connection from the Earnhardts and the Houstons and all that. So maybe, I hope one day he does. Yeah. And I hope Dad don't tell all the stories.
Sure,
tell some of them.
Yeah. I was going to ask you that too. Had he asked him to come on his show yet? Had he asked, as Dale Jr. asked your dad to come on his show? I think
in some of our Twitter conversations earlier, and that's why I was telling Tracy that he'll find an old picture of Dad, or we'll find an old picture of Dale, and we'll shoot it to him, and he'll be like, "Man, I never saw that one before. Or, this is a cool picture." And then in one of those conversations, he said something about, "Yeah, I need to get your dad on the show." And so that'd be pretty cool. Yeah,
I think so too. I definitely would tune in on that one. And Andy says, Dad told me, or Marty, to run a happy hour practice at Darlington in his car, and he was going to the hotel.
Yes, so that is true. So we're at the Busch Grand National race in Darlington, South Carolina. And this was in those years when I was talking about where Dad was pretty much done. We were still going to the racetrack and we were still competing, but he was doing it for a different reason. He was doing it just to support the family. So they go out, run first practice, everything's good. And Dad's like, "Hey, we're going to go get something to eat. We're going to go to the hotel." And this is just how he was, and he didn't think anything was wrong with it, and it probably wasn't. But he's like, if y'all want to go out and make a lap, if you want to run that second practice, just get the suit on, and then he tells us, well, I was like, I can't run Busch Grand National practice, and so he's like, well, just put your helmet on before you come out of the tow truck. And I said, yeah, it ain't gonna look weird walking through the infield into the garage area with your helmet on and your visor down, Yes. But he's dead serious, and he's like, just work your speed up, and you ain't gotta go wide. And so we were just like, once he walked off, we were like,
well, what do we do?
What was that all about?
Let's just both get in there.
But now we do, and I've got a cool picture. I've got a big frame picture of Dad and myself in two Busch Grand National cars at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and I'm in front of him and he's behind me. It was on like an open test day, and we did get in and go out and make some laps, and a buddy of mine off my late model car took a picture of it, and so I've still got that one. That's pretty cool, because we never really, the only race we ever raced against each other, Dad, Andy Scott, and myself ran a Legends Challenge at Hickory Speedway.
Okay.
And I think Dad won that one. And then we went back, and myself, Dennis Setzer, Rob Huffman, and Andy did a former track champions challenge. I wore them out. It wasn't even close. It wasn't close at all.
All right. Now, did that cause any strife or whatever in the family at the dinner table?
We'll see if he texts us. If it did, you'll know here just in a minute.
Well, without that being said, I was sitting there thinking, you said you and Junior talk back and forth. You can tell Junior we'll get Tommy on the show if he comes on this one.
Yeah,
we'll trade
there
it
you
off.
Go. There you go. That'd be a good trade-off.
We'll hook it up.
Yeah. Hey, I'm telling you, Junior, there's nothing artificial about what you see and hear when you see Dale Jr. or talk to Dale Jr. or anything. He is as genuine, and he is that person that you see the lost speedways and the heritage of racing, and how he goes and really digs. I mean, that's his passion, and it's not just for good TV.
Right.
That's who he is. So he's such just a spearhead for trying to keep the heritage and history of the sport alive. Exactly. I think it's great when your brightest star is leading in the right direction, and he does a great job. I'm a big fan of Dale Jr.
I listen to his show, so I comprehend that
absolutely.
He's trying to keep the heritage alive as well.
And we're not just saying that to try to get him on the show.
No.
But if it works out, it's fine.
Yeah, that's it. I always thought we were kind of similar in ways because we're close to age, I guess.
No,
he's a little bit younger.
He's
than
younger
me.
than us.
Yeah, he's a little bit younger.
He's younger than us.
Just a couple of years.
But I grew up in Charlotte, and that was kind of like Race City back then. And I grew up knowing NASCAR from as far back as I could remember. I could remember being on the bus in kindergarten and talking about my favorite driver was Cale Yarborough, and David Pearson even before Cale Yarborough. And then my neighbors was Richard Petty. And of course, Richard Petty was winning all the time. Of course, David Pearson was winning when he raced.
Well, let me tell you a quick story. Yeah. So I'm sick, and we're at the house with the shop below.
He said, "No, we all good." Andy. Yeah.
So I'm at the house, and I had been sick for a day or two, and I was little. I'm a guess. I'll probably say 8 or 9, something like that, and maybe a little older. But so I'm laying in the bed, and I think Richard and maybe Maurice had came by the shop, and either Dad had bought something from them and they were dropping it off, or he had bought a part from Dad or something. There was some kind of transaction going on there. So, and this is just kind of guy, it's kind of like talking about Dale Jr., it's kind of guy Richard is. So I'm sick in the bed, and next thing I know, Dad says something to Richard about it. Next thing I know, my bedroom door opens, and here's daggum 6'5" Richard Petty comes in, sunglasses, hat,
and the boots,
the whole deal, and just it was almost like a dream, you know, because it was so surreal. So the door opens and he sticks his head in, and he's got the, you know, the plaid shirt and the blue jeans and the boots, and he's like, "How you doing, little buddy?"
Aw.
And I said, "I'm okay." And he said, Daddy said you're sick, you know, and I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "Well, I hope you feel better." And I said, "Yes, sir." And he left.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Well,
looking back,
cool.
maybe it was a dream. I could be telling a straight bold-faced lie right here, but
You can confirm it.
it was still one of the coolest things
Yeah.
like that had ever happened. And so that whole deal was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So them all those guys, and not saying the ones today aren't, it's just a different sport and a different society, culture we live in. But all those guys were so genuine and, you know, held tight to what was really important back then. Proof that money's the root of all evil.
Well, I was going to say, you know, and I could be incorrect, but for me, I think that it's the difference is that back then there wasn't as much PR involved. So now it's more PR.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, and we've said that before, and, you know, I hope people don't take it the wrong way. It used to take one thing to make it in racing, and that was driving talent. Then it took two things, and that was driving talent and a check. And now it's back to one thing, and that's just a check.
Yeah.
And I believe that.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
you can still make it on talent, but if you don't have the backing, I mean, I know guys racing at Hickory Speedway right now. I'm working with guys in my shop right now, and in the other shop that are every bit as talented of race car drivers physically as the guys racing on Saturday and Sunday. Every bit, no doubt in my mind.
Right.
Clark Houston,
Yeah.
any of them, it's just the way the opportunities fall, you know. So, and that goes back to that whole plan thing, but, you know, that's just the way it is.
And it does seem like if any one of them had, let's say, a rich uncle that had his own business, like on the Target or whatever, Myers or any of those, then he has money, he's going to get it right in there.
Yes.
I mean, that's pretty much the way it is.
And you know, and I said, in their defense, writing a check that big is a talent.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Right.
I
Can't
mean,
either.
If you can clear a $2.5 million check,
Yeah. Well,
that's pretty good talent.
And it takes money to win. It takes money to run consistently. You know, all that kind
Easiest
of stuff.
way to make a small fortune in racing is to start with a big one.
Exactly.
That's what it is. I always mess that one up. I say, how do you become a millionaire in racing? You start with whatever.
Start by being a billionaire.
Yeah, that's it.
Exactly.
That's better than what I had. See,
Those are true.
Yeah. Very true.
all right. So what's in the future for Marty? I guess you're doing it now, right?
Yeah,
Enjoying your
I mean,
time?
I'm in it.
Yeah.
You know, I enjoy my time at RCR, and you know, we're constantly working on things, trying to make our Xfinity cars better. And you know, with my this year, we won Homestead, which was awesome. And now we've kind of been in a little bit of a struggle with through the summer, but the nice thing is none of it matters because we're in the playoffs, you know, through the win at Homestead. So we're trying to gear that stuff up, and then this whole next gen wave is starting to build. You can see it coming, you know, and so all that's starting to hit the cup shop, and I think just a lot of unknowns. You know, this whole COVID thing again is a lot of unknown. Another wave coming in a different direction. So, you know, right now I just really enjoy like seeing what the girls have going on, and you know what Steph and I have going on, and just really enjoying life right now a lot.
That's right. That's what it's all about, right?
Really look forward to Sundays and worshiping with our people there at Discovery, and that's just a huge part of our lives right now. You know. And just trying to draw people to God.
Oh, that's a very important thing.
Yes,
for sure. And that's what I always say too about as far as enjoying life. It's if I don't enjoy what I'm doing. I just don't really have to do it. I'm going
Right.
to do something else
Right.
that I enjoy.
And that's where I say, and that goes back to that God thing. Like my time at RCR is going to be what it's going to be, and whatever, whenever your next season in life comes, sometimes you know it and sometimes you don't, and so I try to go to work and be the best I can be, and all our guys we work with there at the Xfinity shop are just awesome. Our Whitey and Jay Bourne and the guys that we've got a separate group that does the body hanging, and then we do all the assembly, and a really small group. You'd be surprised to go to RCR and say, this is the Xfinity group, but we were 5 teams down to 3 teams, down to 2 teams, down to 1 team. So through that process, we've kept all the best people, and then some of them moved to the Cup shop, but we just a good bunch of guys, and everybody seems to have good perspective on what, like you were talking about, on life and enjoying what you do every day, and not letting, I say all the time, and it's silly, but I say it all the time. I'm like, we're not operating on babies. We're building race cars. This is important, but it's not that important.
Right.
It's not family. It's not God. So I kind of constantly try to keep everybody in that perspective of come into work, hit it hard, do the best you can do, but this is not life or death, and so we keep it with that, and we run good, and
that can tend to help it kind of make it a little bit of fun too, because then you're not under quite as much pressure. I mean, if it's life or death, then you're under an extreme amount of pressure. Yeah,
and the teams you see win. I mean, obviously winning's fun, but the guys that are winning were having fun before they were winning.
Right.
There's some of that to it.
Very true. What's Lanny Barnes up to?
He's still there, just wears us out over motor stuff. And
oh yeah, sure. He's been there forever.
Lanny has been there forever and 2 days at RCR.
Yeah,
I think he started about a week before Richard started.
Yeah,
so that's what we tell everybody.
That's pretty
and
good.
Lanny still lives in Hickory. Yeah. He lives 10 miles past where I live.
Yeah, when he worked with me at Savco, he was driving from Hickory.
Yes.
And it's like, man, you drive all that way?
I'd like to have his gas money back. Yeah, I don't.
Sure.
Which everybody, they're like, man, you drive an hour to work, but it's really nice because in the mornings, you get 30 minutes of sleep. And, no, I'm just picking. I don't sleep on the way to work, but you get a little bit of time to just get ready for the day. And then in the evenings, and Steph can attest to this. Like when I get home, I'm done racing. We don't talk a lot about racing. We don't talk a lot about what goes on at RCR. I mean, in that hour drive, I just exhaust everything. Yeah. And normally I'm listening to whatever set list Gary's got for me on Sunday, because I have to, just knowing what we're going to play and the parts and all. Sure. So through that process, by the time I get home, I'm brand new, and I'm ready to go. So that whole, my day-to-day protocol right now is really good. Feels healthy.
Yeah. You got a little bit of time to do a sanity restoration.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah.
I always call it my decompression time.
It is. It absolutely is.
Yeah. So,
and I can tell when Steph only drives 15 minutes home, so she gets 15 minutes of decompression, and then we do another 15 minutes when we get to the house, which I'm glad to do, because I think everybody needs to do that.
Yeah.
You got to get rid of that.
I was trying to think, some of the other guys we had, Alan Rose and Brian Price were a couple other ones I worked with that they went out there to RCR, but things changed too.
Yeah, and I like Steph and I were talking about before I came to the show, Tito, which I know Tito went to Penske and was really successful there, and Josh Kirk, I think, ended up over Hendricks and had a lot of success with those guys. So I don't get to talk to those anymore. I haven't seen Bob Temple in years. He used to call me slip yoke for some reason. I think it was a derogatory term, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But his Bob was a special guy. I liked him a lot.
I haven't seen him in forever.
Nope, I haven't. And but all those guys, I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed all those guys.
Yeah,
that was fun meeting the people. Paula Smith, Paula Roach married Chad Smith. She was a receptionist at Armando's, and then Peanut and I did the Craftsman commercial together.
Oh, okay.
Back years ago with the rubber band, and so I knew Peanut really good, and I knew Paul from Highline. So that was I still talk to them every now and then.
Okay.
So it's just that still that connection of people.
And talk to me.
I talk to you. Yeah. I'm gonna come talk to you more. This is fun.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And
I'll be a regular.
Yeah, you need to. And Dickie was saying what kind of music you listen to. So
No, Steve asked
I
that.
think that was Steve Baker. So you're gonna have to start listening in the mornings on your way to work. You have to start listening to the morning show.
If he wants to know what kind of music I listen to, the answer is yes. I listen to everything.
Everything. There you go.
I listen to praise music, Sturgill Simpson, Waylon Jennings, Foo Fighters, you name it. I took my girls and Steph to see the Foo Fighters, and they weren't really impressed.
Oh, okay.
Not as much as I was. So I think Hannah really liked it, but Steph and Sarah made it about 4 songs of Dave Grohl screaming, and they were like, we're going to go look at the T-shirts. This is a little loud.
So you've got your radio on shuffle.
Yes,
That's the best thing to say.
absolutely.
Oh, I got to say hey to my cousin, Jim McCorkle. He used to live in Gastonia, but he's moved away somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know what that little thing is that got his face. I forgot what you call it, but I was going to tell him I liked his little thing, his badge that tells who he is.
Yeah. All right. It's
his avatar.
Is that what it's called? I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah, I think that's what it's called. It looks like.
It says hi.
Yeah, it does. It says hi. It looks like Moses. It's kind of like Moses in the character, but with a shorter beard.
Maybe that's what he looks like. Maybe he's saying that's what he looks like. I don't know.
Oh, right. Yes. Okay. Oh, yeah. Jim was he was a Holman and Moody guy back in the day.
Okay. Yep.
And speaking of Holman and Moody guys, did you know Tracy's dad, or have you heard of him, Kenny Thompson?
Yeah.
Okay.
Headers and welding.
That's right.
Welding extraordinaire.
Fabricator
Absolutely. Yes,
of the
sir.
year.
Yeah. Kenny Thompson's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now he was down when I remember, and I'm gonna go way back in the day. He was down off of 150.
He still is.
Yep.
Across from the campground.
Grassy
He
Creek.
still is.
Man.
Yeah, he's still there.
Kenny
His shop's
Thompson.
still there.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, we're probably gonna go see him tomorrow.
Yep. We're going to go visit
Tell him
tomorrow.
the Houston said hello. Yep.
Will do.
Do that.
Yep. Kenny's a staple in racing. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows Kenny.
Trying to get him on the show. So maybe I can do
that'd
that.
be awesome.
We need to peer pressure him into it.
I'll come back.
Right. Yeah. Maybe that'll get him in here. But yeah, we're going to go, and I think I'm going to meet up with Will Cronkright again and meet up over there. We're going to go to Bill Ryan's shop. Bill Ryan, R-H-I-N-E.
Yeah, Kenny made some of the most beautiful fabricated headers I've ever seen. I think anybody ever seen. He was the first guy to do that. I mean, that was when I first saw. You saw stock exhaust that you bought in the store, and then you saw the stuff Kenny built, and you're like, yeah, that's way better.
I remember seeing that on the what do you call a lathe? The things that goes around.
Yeah, the lathe. Yep.
Yeah, I would see him start out as a block.
Yeah.
And whittle down.
Yeah, he's talented, dude.
Yeah. How about that? All right. Well, we'll tell him you said hello. Mm-hmm. And so if anybody, if you're watching this video now or you're watching it later, we got Marty Houston in with us on Racing Roots with Ham, and you can go back and ask any questions, and I'll make sure that Marty gets the questions, and he'll answer them too. I'm pretty sure of that.
Absolutely. I will make something up.
Okay.
They will be answered.
So do you know Nancy Alexander? She
Yes.
says, Stephanie and Marty, hey, 2 of the finest people Pat and I know.
Yes, I do. Now, I think there's a tie-in with Eddie Yunt.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Eddie. We were talking about him earlier.
Yep. Eddie came along and started and helped Dad back in the day, and we won some races and stuff with Eddie helping us. And he was just, you could tell from the start, he was way too good a mechanic and fabricator and painter and everything else that we were going to be able to keep him for a long time. You know, we knew, and that's Dad was always kind of like that, like Slugger, Philip Sipe, my cousin, he still works in racing. So one of Dad's goals when he hired somebody was, we want you to move on.
Right.
You know, we want this to be a journey through here to something better. And I don't know of many people that work for him that didn't go on and do something. Jamie Reynolds ended up at Penske for a long time. I mean, Keith Barnwell, all these guys that helped Dad just went and did something else. And I think that's a testament to Mom and Dad just being the positive influence that they were to people. And that's where we got it from.
Yeah, you don't want to hold people back. You want them to expand and grow.
Yeah, and Mom and Dad were
better.
really big about that, never wanting to just keep somebody for ourselves. You know,
exactly.
If they're good enough to go, and I think Eddie's still like the QC guy at Gibbs, you know.
Yeah.
like he's kind of the final say, and I mean I love Eddie to death. My wife loves him to death. He's a good dude.
Great guy. He looks like he's a hard worker too.
Yeah, very hard worker.
He took my helmet, and it's a Redskins helmet and a football. He's got the coach to sign it for me. So that's cool.
Awesome.
I hated to even ask, but I was like, you know what, I might as well. And he's like, oh yeah, give it to me. I'll get that signed for you. No problem.
Yeah, I didn't get to meet him.
So yeah, he said he'll use a gold Sharpie to sign it for me. Well, and it's not just any helmet. It's the helmet I had since I was a little kid.
Right.
Me and my brother would get out in the yard and we'd put our helmets on and we'd just go at it, you know.
He rubbed it on the ground so it looked like he was in football.
I did. I rubbed it on the road.
So you look like you appeared to be a roughneck.
Yes.
right.
I wanted those rough streaks down the front. And then I had those little stickers that you put on little things like if you're yard selling a bike or whatever. I got that all over my helmet.
Watch that Ham kid. He'll hit you. He'll spike you.
He's skinny as a rail with the scuffed up helmet.
I was terrible at football.
Yeah.
So it's a quick story. We had St. Stephen's Lutheran School didn't have a football team, so they made us go play over at Sweetwater, and there was a bunch of thugs over there. Them boys was rough, and we didn't want to go over there and play. And so I did about a year or two of whatever Mom and Dad made me do in football, and I was like, nope.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get into music. It hurts way less.
Yeah, there you go.
Just your fingers hurt.
I didn't start football till high school. And
so Mom and Dad took me to see Kiss for my 10th birthday, and rest is history. Charlotte Coliseum.
That's awesome.
So my last race at Homestead, and I met Gene Simmons. I got my picture with him.
Really?
That was 2001.
That's
Homestead
awesome.
Race, yeah.
I met Guy Fieri and Kelly Hansen, singer for Foreigner. They were at Texas when I was with Kyle, and got to hang out with them for a little bit. And we were just having this conversation like 2 nights ago, and I told my girls, I said, Kiss is coming to Raleigh, I think the end of this month, and it's the end of the road tour last time.
Right.
And I said, I don't feel like I'm going to be a good dad if I don't make y'all go see this, because
don't introduce you to
that's
it.
good.
At the end, you know, when you're 50 years old and you can say, I saw Kiss before at the very last tour they ever had.
Yes.
And then so we watched a little bit of the Kiss documentary and all that, because we were huge. We dressed up as Kiss every year, and so we're still, you know, they've asked, both of them's asked at least once, hey, are we still doing the Kiss thing? So. And then Steph just sighs when we talk about it. But I think she wants to go too, because she knows how awesome it's going to be.
Yeah, for sure.
So the fireworks alone will be worth it.
Yeah.
So when you dressed up, which one did you dress up as?
Peter Criss. That's the drummer.
There you go.
That's Peter Criss every time. Every time. Scott was Gene Simmons, and I think Andy always would put on one of Dad's old Firestone racing suits and an open face helmet, like with no bill on it. And then for some reason we would always do like, he would always have like a black eye or a cut or something. And I was like, well, you're not dressing up as a very good race car driver.
Right.
If you got beat up or your face is busted
injured,
up.
Yeah.
That's it.
So I never understood that, why we always had to be like, but it's the same thing as scratching up your football helmet.
That's right.
Yes, that's right. It is battle scars, kind of like. All right. Well, y'all, thanks so much for tuning in on DHammiam on YouTube. And hit that thumbs up before you go anywhere. And check out my website, DHammiam.com, for more information on everything, all the social media links, all that good stuff. And tune into the Billy Buck Morning Show with a side of ham tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock. I'll be sitting right here. And next Monday, I'm going to have Rocky Lynn. Rocky Lynn's like a local celebrity music star.
Okay.
So maybe you should come back and see it.
I was going to say, now, if he got drums back here, so.
Yes, he's responsible for this stage. He's the one that set it up. He owns All American State Sound and Lights.
Yeah.
The sound systems that we play down here for the Friday After Fives and all that stuff. I think he's out in Oregon right now doing a little tour for Tribute to the Troops is what he does. He sends Gold Star family member kids to college.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But
if he needs somebody to jam with, I'll be here.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Gary Church says, great show. You need to get Marty to lay a groove for you guys on the drums before you're done.
Oh, man. We might have to do that.
So Gary's the worship leader at Discovery, and y'all need to hear him sing. You got to tune in. So we're live on YouTube, Facebook, and everything.
Yes.
Discovery Church Hickory.
Yeah, Discovery. So how can we find it on
Sundays
YouTube?
at 9 and 11, it'll be live. I think YouTube's the best channel to go on. Just search Discovery Church Hickory.
Okay.
But now Gary's he's a Chris Stapleton.
Oh.
Not wannabe. I mean, this cat can get it done.
Oh.
And so we've got a lot of talented guys on there just doing it for the Lord, and it's really good. You can go back and watch
Discovery Church.
Okay.
Discovery Church Hickory and 9 and 11 on Sundays.
Go back and watch them on YouTube, possibly.
Yeah, all the old services are on there, and you'll see he's there's years of stuff on there.
Okay.
Don't go too far back because the sound gets bad.
Oh, I'm sure. Yes, it's better.
Stay in the last year.
Yeah, I got you. So, but what I was going to say about Rocky too is he's going to do a theme song for my show.
Ah, that's awesome.
He said he sent me a song, and it's "Man Behind the Wheel," and talks about renting moonshine and.
Well, I'm going to tell you, if it don't reference Dickie sitting on the fence, I'm not going to listen to it. That's all I'm going to say. You need to. It's going to be like you never even call me by my name. You're going to have to add another line to that for it to be the perfect.
That's not a bad idea.
Ham song.
I might have to do that. I have to add that in there.
Yeah,
I'll do some
we do mention him every time.
I'll do some little voiceovers in there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's talking about racing. Surely he can work in going through turn 4. Yeah. Under Dickie on the fence or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, he was a rule breaker.
That's funny.
There you go.
All right. So
one of a kind.
Yes. Excuse me. Jim says, I don't know how David does it, but every show is interesting. Thank you, Marty. You are so interesting. Thanks for sharing your career and even talking about Dickie's phone call. Thanks, Tracy Rock.
I appreciate that. That's awesome.
Yeah. All right, y'all. We'll see you next Monday evening for Rocky Land. But before that, tune in to Billy Buck Morning Show tomorrow morning, and I'll see y'all then. Good night.
Awesome.
0.9 WAME and W225BD Statesville.
Welcome to Racing Roots with Ham.
If you don't know our host, David Hamm, he's a 25-year NASCAR veteran, engine builder, and jackman.
Live every Monday evening, we have a new guest
from the racing world with their stories, their paths,
their racing roots.
Sponsored by Jersey Cape Yachts.
Hi, this is Pastor Isaiah from Calvary Chapel Lake Norman, and I'm excited to let you know that we are on the radio right here on WAME every Sunday from 7 to 7:30 a.m. and every Wednesday from 7 to 7:30 p.m. Listen in to the Prepare You the Way radio ministry with Pastor Mike Berner, teaching the Bible chapter by chapter and verse by verse, helping you get right